Okay, so morning everybody. Thanks for your time today. I'm Tony Gwynne. I'm the Global Leakage Solutions Director for Ovarro, based in the UK, but obviously happy to travel anywhere as needed. My background is Severn Trent Water in the UK. I was the leakage manager there for around 10 years. And then moved into the world of contracting, where I had a team of probably around 600 leakage technicians at one point in the UK. So I've been around the leakage environment for a long time, mostly in the UK market. My background is Severn Trent. I ran several of the areas for leakage detection and leakage strategy, where we had teams of around 200-300 technicians working with all the technology available, delivering the leakage targets. And we had around about 3,500 DMAs in Severn Trent, with a population of around 8.2 million people. So pretty big team, pretty big activity on leakage in that water company. Real background there in utility in the UK. So today I'm going to talk about Leak Navigator, which is a solution from Ovarro. This links in with our fixed network activities around the UK and Malaysia and US, where we're currently running Leak Navigator. We've also got a client in France that is using it, Veolia. So we're sort of expanding out now. I think it's time. The UK market's very busy with this product. And we're expanding this out into the international market now, so a really good opportunity to talk through it with everybody. So I'm just going to fire away into the presentation. So we have two fixed network loggers that we utilize in the network, the Enigma 3M. So the Enigma 3M has been around for quite a while, really, and I think the solution that we have in Ovarro now is really the progression of this product and the other logger that we'll go on to the next screen. But the two loggers themselves work side by side, and we've really brought this forward now into more of a solution-based activity rather than just selling kit. And I think that's where we've really changed in our vision, where we have more accountability with our clients, and we look at trying to build out this. The logger itself, a very good piece of kit, the Enigma technology. It will correlate over 300 meters on average on metallic pipework. So that's really important that we do stretch it to around 350, and it's usually around the dynamics of the DMA, which I'll talk about later. The logger itself has a 5-year battery. And it correlates, basically. It correlates and it cross correlates, and the cross correlations are very key for the data. So we have IoT with this. We don't have NB-IoT, we have IoT. So we use Cat-M1. The reason we don't use NB-IoT is because the narrow broadband doesn't contain enough ability to transfer these files because it is cross correlation. So that's really important to understand, but it is IoT. We also have 4G, 3G, 2G fallback. So if the logger cannot connect, it will fall back into those categories. The other logger that we have is the Enigma 3 High Q. So same technology, but adding a hydrophone. And when I go on to talk about the Thames Water activity that we're doing, we'll talk about how that's working on all materials. So I think probably 1 or 2 years back, we always promoted the High Q as more of an ability to do long distance pipe work or plastic pipe work, MDPE. But now we've really pushed this technology to start working well on metallic DMAs or mixed DMAs of material. So even if the materials are mixed within the DMA, the hydrophone version is doing very well. These sensors are placed around 600 meters apart on average. So we always look at around 500 to 750 meters distance for correlation. Again, it's cross correlation with this logger. Very important that we get them placed strategically around the DMA correctly. and I'll advance on that shortly in another slide. But this logger really is, at the minute in the UK market, is a bit of a go-to. We've got a new fitting that we've had about 18 months now that's been really good. So it sits in the meter chamber, and the hydrophone is attached to that fitting. The logger is attached to the hydrophone, which is in the fitting. Sorry. So it's a really good way of one, getting your hydrophone into the network, because that's very key. And two, obviously then strategically placing them. We have a lot more assets to go and place the loggers on in the UK market, which is very good. Internationally, obviously it depends what connections you have, and that's how we would connect the hydrophones into the network. The benefit is you only need a connection every 600 meters on average, and that enhances your ability to spread these quite well over a zone or a DMA area. So that's the two technologies, one with hydrophones, one without. It's the same logger, it's cross-correlating. We have roaming SIMs, we have IoT, so it's basically a utilized logger across the network. So where do we see our future in the leakage area and detection? We see a vision of permanent stroke semi-permanent, and it's very clear that if your loggers in your fixed network have delivered a saving and you feel that they would be moved, these loggers can be moved quite easily. If you want to leave them permanently in that zone or that DMA, then that's the choice of the client. It's very key that we work very closely with the clients to make sure that their capital investment is spent well, and we find water, in effect, wasted water. What else we're trying to do is labour and operational efficiency. We're bringing more efficiency into the product and how we run Leak Navigator. So we're trying to make the field teams just go straight to the POI, point of interest, where the leak is. We're trying to get them to the actual point. This is something that we're working on in the background with AI and more automated algorithms within our system. But it's very clear that if you have a defined resource to go and look for leaks, you need them to go straight to the leak. I think the days of walking around DMAs with a listening stick are still there for everybody. And what we're trying to do here is take that inefficiency away, because if they find 1 leak a day or 2 leaks a day, what we're trying to do is give them 4 or 5 leaks a day where they can go and correlate and find the leak. And then obviously we're looking at using the cloud platform. Our platform is called Atrium. There's several things within Atrium, and we have systems now that are linking to each other. And I'll talk about that shortly, about what's on offer through the Leak Navigator system. So what do we do in Leak Navigator as a business? We take the initial DMA consultancy. So we take the schematic or the shape file from the client, and that's basically all the client does is give us the information, and they don't need to give us anything else. As long as the pipe material is on there, the DMA schematic is there, we can take everything from that, and then we have an automated planning system that we can look at. That we then deliver the analytics. So again, within Ovarro, within our automated system, the analytics runs within Atrium automatically, and every morning the data will be there for the desktop analyst to look at. Weekly reporting, so we show you a report, and I'll show you the Thames report shortly. And technical support, so because it is a service, we are there 24/7 to help the client, and that's part of the package that you get with Leak Navigator. And then training, for instance, our trainers are in Malaysia next week, so training is very key. In the UK, we have an EUSR certified training course now with Ovarro. So what we've done is for the Ovarro product line, we now have a certified training program in the UK market, but that can be transferred internationally, where the trainers can do that training, and if you want certification for the training, that's available. but it is all around the Ovarro product line, and that training is there. So just a little bit on our system. So the initial phase of this is really important because we are trying to optimize the DMA with the asset that you've purchased or you would buy for your clients. And the key here is really getting the loggers in the right position. The loggers need to be spread around the DMA efficiently to correlate with each other. So within the automated system of Leak Navigator, you can see there on the map, the pipes have gone red, which means that the loggers will correlate. Where you may see some of the blue pipe work, it's not covered by the correlation. So it's very key that when we send the POI out into the field team, we're really giving them the actual point of where we believe the leak is. If it's on a leg that's not covered, we then tell them to investigate that leg. So it's really key that we understand from a field perspective what they're expecting, and we do send that to them with the POI data. The correlation point, so once it's populated, we look for the efficiency within the DMA. If the DMA all goes red, we know it's covered by the correlating loggers. We know they will cross-correlate and the distance between each logger is correct. And that then is perfect to progress into a signed off DMA to say that DMA now is logged. That's where the loggers need to go. And that's ready for the field team to deploy. So within Ovarro, we have a deployment app. It's very key that we transfer that data from the analysis of the DMA into the field teams to where they need to put their fixed network loggers. Their fixed network loggers here, you can see in the app screen, are red, which means they are deployed, they are live, they are working. Where we have one here, that means they haven't deployed that logger yet. So the clear logger means it's not been deployed yet. Therefore, that DMA is not ready. So as we're deploying these loggers around the network, you start to see them coming online and where they are being deployed. It's very important for the maintenance teams, obviously. So the logger is recorded at that point, GPRS location, longitude, latitude, everything's recorded within the download of the logger. So once the logger is commissioned, we know where it is on the network. So it's very key. So if there's any ever maintenance for that logger, we know where it is.
Hey, Tony, there's a question from Paul.
Yes.
Does the automated system take into account the pipe materials and diameters?
Yes, it does. Yeah. So as part of that process, we build in that profile into the automated population of the DMA. So we build in the material type, diameter, and the type of logger that we're deploying. So then the algorithms will work around the deployment ability to understand the correct distances that we need to put the loggers. So that's okay. The advanced network acoustic loggers with the sensor technologies for leak detection. So we now see the pipe work, obviously, as just explained, that's the right logger for that pipe work, and we have the two loggers there. They will fit on valves, hydrants, or in the UK, in the market, we have a boundary box, an Atlas box. We currently are looking at the fitting for above ground meters. So that's being worked on at the moment. So we can get the hydrophone into the system. So we have lots of that ability to do that with any client, really. So if they show us the fittings, we can make the fitting for the hydrant to perform well. Operability for Leak Navigator, we look at operability of 90% and above to make it efficient. If it hasn't 90%, let's say a chain was flooded and the aerials fell off or something, as a fixed network loggers do, unfortunately, there would be maintenance required if it goes below 90% operability in the DMA, and that's very key. Daily analytics, so we send the analytics into the field. We make sure that they've got the follow-up app. So Ovarro have now created a follow-up app for the field technician. So we assign the leak to the technician. They get all this detail here. They get the point of interest. They get the correlation details. So the field inspector or technician realistically is getting everything that you see on the screen into their app in the field. It's an Android app. It can be on iPads, etc., laptops, whichever you need. It's a web-based app. But everything comes down, so we assign it to that individual. They will get the alert that there's a leak in the DMA, or they may get 3 or 4 alerts if there's 3 or 4 alerts and leaks. And basically that's assigned to that individual. So they can't not unsign it until they've found it. And within the app itself, there's lots of drop-down lists to say what activity the technician has performed on site, to say, yes, I found the leak, this is the location, or no, there is no leak, and I tried to do this, this, and this. So it's very clear that we're putting emphasis on the technician to do the right activity to get the leak. And it's also a very user-friendly app. So it's sort of prompting them to say, if you haven't found the leak, have you put Enigma kits out, for instance, that we use for follow-up? Or have you used your correlator? Have you used hydrophones with your correlator? So if it's on plastic network, for instance, we're telling them that we've found a leak over 750 meters between point A and point B. You probably need to use hydrophones as well with your correlator to finally put the blue mark down to where to dig. And it's very key that even across the UK with the technicians, we are very much interfaced with them to understand that sometimes they don't find the leak on their first visit. And I think we're around about 40% of no leaks, where the technician comes back and says there isn't a leak. 40% do actually turn into a leak with more work with the technician. And Leak Navigator is very, very clear on that we have to work with the field engineers to give them the best possibility of finding that leak, to make that efficiency. So it's very key. We aim for 85% conversion rates or above with all our clients. That does fluctuate on a daily basis, and it's very key to where we are today with some of our clients in the UK. We've got quite a big fleet of loggers in Thames Water now. That's growing. We're still installing, and I'll show you a little bit of that data. So the system itself, leakage analytics, we have 3 areas within Atrium: Leak Vision, Leak Insight, and Leak Navigator. So if a client buys fixed network loggers and is getting a system, they get Leak Vision. It's very manual. It's a little bit clunky in the fact that there's lots of to-ing and fro between screens and clicking on certain things. And so it's quite a long process. So introducing Leak Insight, which is the new system, the new software, that can be purchased as a solution now for the process of creating a POI, a leak position. This system, Leak Insight, you will get certain things within that ability to do it yourself, in effect. So if the client wants to do the analytics themselves, we are saying, yes, that's fine. Please use Leak Insight, because Leak Insight runs every night. 6 a.m. in the morning, the leaks will be ready for the technical team on the screen. So they just go straight into the DMA, the leaks will be there. And Leak Insight has AI and algorithms in the background that's constantly working, and that will basically say, actually, I'm looking at the criteria the system is giving me from the loggers, and I'm working out automatically where the leak is, and it pulls in all the POI positions. Because we're cross-correlating with several loggers, it will pull all the data together from all those loggers into a point. So it will take the best correlations, it will take the best distances, the pipe materials factored in, and then it will give you a point. So that's where the technician goes to. So we're bringing in a lot of data into that final leak position. This is very new for us. We've had this probably around 4 months now, where Leak Insight has had much more automation and algorithm and AI involved. And we've just brought in sound suppression So if you have a PRV or a mechanical noise in the background, we now take that noise out of the equation. So the noise on the sound file, you can listen to the sound file. We put a specific alert on that leak to say there is background noise on this leak that isn't the leak. You can listen to that. It then filters automatically out and then back in. So as a desktop analyst, I can sit here and go, right, I've got a meter noise clicking in the background. We take that meter noise out so you can hear the leak, and then we bring it back in. So you're probably looking for a private leak in effect. We have found some other noises now that are also in there that we're not sure what they are, but it's quite interesting to hear those noises, filter them out where you can still hear the leak noise and then put them back in. And the PRV suppression is very, very good and working well in the Thames and other areas, Southern Water, where we have Leak Navigator. And then Leak Navigator itself, the final product, which is the end-to-end product we offer, you get everything basically. There's one or two chargeable things like installation and site audits, but overall, as part of the service we offer for Leak Navigator, you get the full suite of activity there from Ovarro. So we have our own technician team now as a support team. And they are doing the analytics. So in the UK, for instance, for Thames Water, Southern Water, Affinity Water, United Utilities, we are doing the analytics with our fixed network login. We're doing this in Denver Water. The trial's just started. We're doing this for Veolia in France, and we're just working in Malaysia with Air Senegal, where we have 12,000 loggers fixed network currently. So you can see that the scope of this is starting to grow. More customers are saying, do this for us. It's more efficient for them. And it's a real service offering that we're putting there. So just going into Thames Water, and we'll talk about what we're doing here in London. So we've sold around 3,500 loggers so far, due to have some more orders coming through the next month due to progression of this really. In that order, we sold 3,000 hydrophones and we sold 500 Enigma 3Ms. If we go back to the first slides, we have the technology. The technology, we've looked at the DMAs that they've given us. They've given us 110 DMAs. So you can see from 3,000 loggers, from hydrophone loggers, we're covering quite a lot of DMAs in London. And you can see here, very central as well. So hydrophones are working in quite a busy area of London, a noisy area, and we're picking up quite a lot of leaks. So we started this project in January. The first 1,500 loggers are working fine and are in, and the next batch are being installed at the moment. So this is around 1,500 loggers, and we looked at operability currently at 91.9%. So that's live operability as of today. When I downloaded the presentation. So this is live data that comes in daily from our fleet of loggers. We then have two category conversion rates. We have a category 1 and a category 2. Category 1 means that within the leak insight algorithms, everything is ticked, every box is ticked to say, yes, this is definitely a leak. There is no parameters that are missing from this leak. And the conversion rate there. So basically we're saying we believe it's a leak 100%. So it's all about the technician then finding that leak. Then the category 2, this was based on the fact that there could be more leakage in the DMA. We didn't want to miss anything. So we created a category 2 leak, and the category 2 leak very much is there is some criteria missing out of the algorithm and the AI. But actually we believe there's enough within the package of data, there is enough data there to say, we think it's probably worth looking at that leak. It may be on day 3 of day 4. It may have brought the percentage confidence down slightly to say, actually, there is a question mark over this POI. But so we raised that as a category 2 to warn the technician that there is some criteria missing. so that when they get a category 2, they know there could be more of a chance of not finding a leak. Whereas a category 1 was saying, we think there's a leak, definitely, or a consistent noise at that point. And what you can see here is what leaks we have discovered so far. So in Thames Water, burst mains and compipe and ferrule are 2 categories. So even if the ferrule on the main is leaking, it is classed as not a burst main, it's classed as a ferrule and compipe. We then have private leaks. So you can see here we're picking up quite a lot of private leakage in London with the kit. And then we have smaller leaks, stop tap valves, etc. So far to date, we've found 275 leaks with the hydrophones, and that's a constant churn. So we run the data twice a week for Thames, and they get their POIs on a Tuesday and a Thursday for the technicians. So we're constantly feeding in new leaks into the technicians, into the DMAs.
Hey, Tony, there are some questions in. Paul, your second question I will save for the Q&A. But Stuart Stapley, you had a question, and I can speak it, but perhaps if you unmute, you can ask the question yourself directly.
Yep, sure. Hi, Stuart.
Hi there, Tony. Can you hear me okay? I'm just working on my phone.
Yeah, can hear you.
Yeah, my question's about whether it's possible to take the leak location once it's repaired and then reverse calculate what the material could be, because sometimes the GIS isn't right.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we can do that. So we get the leak repair data from Thames directly in. So we have a full data suite in effect, Stuart. So whatever we want to do with that data, we can do afterwards. So it's a pretty straightforward process, really.
Because updating their asset information would be very useful.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
Excellent.
So we can do that.
One other question I had was just on this screen. Which type of leak is a UFW?
Unaccounted for water, so that we class that as a user.
So okay. That's customer consumption.
Yeah. So basically, we are picking up users here as well. So if there is a constant usage in the DMA, night usage, obviously, because the loggers are picking up night users. So in Southern, we had a great one. The fairground had a private leak, but we found the police station near it. In Margate was happily using water and there was no logger on it. So the Southern Water didn't know about that. So there's instances like that where you've got quite big users that still are not logged in the network, because obviously it's then classed as leakage, which it's not, it's usage. So the thing that we're clicking here is that we're picking up some decent users as well within the data.
So, thank you.
Hey, Tony, please continue the presentation. I'm going to mute you again, Stuart. Yeah, great.
Okay, so this is the live platform here that we use with Thames Water. So they get this on a weekly basis. They've got access to it live as well, so they can go in at any point. And if we just click on any leak, you can look at any leak data. You can see there's a main. And that gives you an idea. We've also got some loggers up in Aylesbury up here in the more rural area, rural town. Again, they're hydrophones. And then basically I can then filter each region. So for Thames Water, we have 3 regions: Thames North, Thames South, Thames Valley. And then I can just click on Thames Valley as an example. And it just brings me the data for Thames Valley. So it's filtering out the regions within Thames where they wouldn't want to look at the data in effect. Down here we have some really information that's good for the client, and it tells you how long it takes them to start the activity of the leakage, and understanding working days for repair, and then number of POIs that are still outstanding in that region. So it's again very key that they see that number of uncompleted escalated POI 0 in Thames Valley. So this is very good for the regional teams to look at their own performance, and Thames do this very closely. So we'll just click on all data again. And then within the data, obviously we have the DMA filters. So we can then filter any DMA. and we can select the DMA. So we have a DMA there, so we can look at the top one, pick randomly, but it's looking a good performing DMA. So we know operability is very, very good, 99%. So the hydrophones in this DMA are calling in 99% every day, which is great. Category 1, great conversion rate. Category 2, very, very good again. And 17 leaks found to date in that DMA. So we know in this DMA, performance is good. Number of POIs still outstanding, 3. And obviously you're all probably thinking, well, have you saved any water? And that's the key to all this really, is what savings have we created in Thames Water so far? So I will just show you down.
Hey, indeed, Tony, the question is, are we looking to the right screen? Because you are doing things on your keyboard, but we don't see anything change on the screen.
Ah, okay, that's interesting. Let me stop sharing. Let me share again. Wait a second. I think it's that one. Can you see that screen?
Yes.
Okay, I'm just clicking on the world map here. Has that changed? Has it brought Thames North, Thames South, Thames Valley up?
Yep.
Ah, brilliant. Okay. So this is the filter that we can use. So let me just show you Thames Valley again. So hopefully the data is now changed on the screen.
Yes, thank you.
Okay, so this is Thames Valley. So you can filter each region as you want to, and it gives you the data for Thames North. You can see the data there. So obviously we've got more loggers here, and we've got 159 leaks in that region. So this is the part that's really good for the regional teams. And then the other filter I put on there, just bear with me a second, is the DMA data. So we have every single DMA that we've currently logged, and we can just filter that into each DMA. So this is ZAMA 01, and we can see here we have 99% operability, 100% conversion rates, and 17 leaks found. So a really, really good DMA, to be honest, this one. And then basically, if I just click on all the DMAs, we can go down to the leakage savings. So we have live access to Thames Water's data. So each day we can go into their night lines and we update this screen as on a daily basis. So each DMA here, we have DMA name, the starting night flow when we started the project. So you can see here, started some of these in December, some of them in January, some in April are still being started. And it gives you an idea of the current night line. You can see quite a reduction there on that top one. Target is 10. We're below target in this DMA. So I can click on that DMA. Then it gives me, there are no leaks outstanding. We found 2 leaks. We've had mixed conversion rate on that, on the Cat 2s. They probably had quite, when we started this, they were very much Thames in their freeze thaw event in the UK, where leakage had really risen because of the ground freeze. And then obviously they've come out of that with the thaw. And in the UK, we get a very, very imbalance in the winter months of freeze thaw activity. But what we've done is we've recovered this DMA and now it's on target, which is obviously very good. We can scoot down to some of the DMAs. So you can see here all the DMAs and the savings, and this is 45.49 litres per second calculated saving based on their data. However, there's a couple of DMAs in there that are kicking this data around a little bit. So that's not a true figure. If it was, I'd be happy and very happy. But we're around about 1.9 megalitres a day saved so far in the project with 1,500 loggers. And obviously the other loggers are coming on board now. So obviously they'll start to bring some data in. And then what we do, let me just filter that. Hold on, just go back into the main screen. Field activity is very key for all this. And I think with my background of field management, we wanted to introduce how we work with the technicians. So this is really capturing escalated leaks. If we've got any leaks that the technicians have been out to, and they're saying they can't find it, that then goes into an escalated pot. So if, let's say, a day team goes out and in Thames, they pass it to the night team to go and do more investigation. And we've got to remember some of these leaks are on plastic pipe work, so there is more investigation sometimes it's required. And that's really key that we escalate that. And then we have ongoing, so we know that these are all leaks that are currently being looked at by the teams. And then we have outstanding. So again, these are leaks that have been assigned. So some there that are not assigned, but usually you get the technician name, and that gives you that data. So, and then we break down the data even further with operability. So you can see the trend of operability here. So this is the current logger trend, and we know that we're at 91% today. And that gives you a bit of you might get an outage with the connection, the network owner, and sometimes that can affect. So here, I think we had a Vodafone issue in London. It kicked out. Obviously, it came back, which was good news. So there was no panic there, but it can give you a real trend of operability. And then we pick up here the POI generation, leaks found, leaks repaired, no leaks, and outstanding leaks and escalated leaks. So it gives you a real idea of the data that's live as of today and the number of leaks that we're looking at within the Thames Water project. So we know we've generated 442 leaks to date, and we know they've found 275. And they are repairing the leaks a lot quicker now. They're coming out of the winter period, so leaks are getting quicker, fixed quicker. And we still know they've still got 92 leaks outstanding within this number. So based on the ratio of 80%, you're probably looking around 75 more leaks to come into this pot as found. And again, it's a constant churn of numbers and data going through the system that's really progressing with Thames. And our aim is to obviously save the water that they need to save. So that, I think we're back onto the presentation. Just bear with me a second. Back onto the slides there. So that is the data. And then obviously the recommended follow-up kit for us in Ovarro is the Enigma kits. This kit comes in a set of 8 or a set of 3, and you can add hydrophones. So this still is in the UK probably our best selling kit in effect, with aside from the fixed network. This is the best correlating follow-up kit we believe in the world. The loggers will cross correlate. Again, the same distances, metallic up to 300 meters, and then onto hydrophones and a longer distance. Also really good for trunk mains and long distribution mains. So we believe that this kit is the go-to kit really in the UK market, and we're trying to progress this into the international market. That every technician really doing leakage should have this kit. I would imagine probably 80% of the leakage technicians in the UK have an Enigma kit to do follow-ups. So we recommend this kit's the ideal kit for following up our fixed network kit. And that's it. Obviously talking a lot, but if any questions, let me know.
Thank you very much, Tony. Yes, there were questions. The one I saved from Paul. Paul, I will unmute you, so perhaps that you can have the conversation with Tony directly.
Hi, Tony. Very interesting presentation. But I'm surprised that you claim to be able to correlate over 600 meters when you're deploying the hydrophone loggers on service lines, which are almost certainly MDPE.
Yeah.
Have you actually is that 600 meters an average over a mix of materials, or can you actually correlate over that distance on the plastic network?
Yeah, both, Paul. Yeah.
Have you done any trials to say, simulate compipe leaks at 300 meters in that and see whether you can pick it up?
Yeah, we can pick it up. Yeah, so all the loggers that we've got in Thames, we're probably averaging around in the central area, because the Thames DMAs are quite complicated in central London. You can imagine we have dual mains, we have link mains, lots of tees off into other mains. We're probably averaging around 400 to 500 meters on the hydrophones. But in the more rural areas, we're definitely averaging around 600 to 750 meters apart, and they're all fine, correlating fine. And the leaks, obviously, it's the proof. The proof is in. Are you finding leaks? Yes, we are. So they are cross-correlating.
And my question is whether you're finding all the leaks, Tony, not whether you're finding leaks. And a lot of the leaks you're finding are customer side leaks and compipe leaks.
What I would say, Paul, is, and we pick up the initial leak that the loggers pick up, because the loggers will always zoom in onto the first noise or the first better leak that they find. And I think that's the key of having the long vision of fixed network is, if you pick up the first leak and fix it, if there is a masked leak by the data, because the first leak is more powerful and noise is higher, we will pick the second leak up through the second sweep. And again, if the second sweep then is fruitful, so a lot of these leaks that are coming in could have been masked by the first leak. So we do get double leaks from some of the POIs. So we've had POIs that have found 2 or 3 leaks. So when the technician expands his vision, when he's on site, he might pick up 1 or 2 leaks. But overall, we're probably taking you to 1 leak initially, and then obviously fix that. And then actually another leak will be visible then. And the correlators will work pretty quickly straight away to show that. So will we miss leaks? I think fixed network loggers probably can miss leaks. But obviously this is a long-term vision of 5 years of monitoring a DMA. So you would hope within the first probably 3 months, all the leakage that was there in the first place would be picked up by the logging. If that's helpful.
Well, is this
we know from the fact that small diameter plastic pipes attenuate leak noises very quickly.
Yes, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean the mix of leaks we're finding, and I think in Thames it's quite interesting, because if you look at United Utilities, the Thames percentage is lower on mains, for instance. We are picking up a lot of the smaller leaks initially on the data. There is probably a lot more smaller leaks. There could be private leaks. In United Utilities, the DMAs we're working there, we're probably around 35% burst main against the criteria. So we feel that UU are probably in a better place with the leaks that they've found to date in the DMAs we're in. We're only in plastic DMAs in United Utilities, and we are picking up some high percentages of burst mains rather than smaller leaks. So it does move around the data. There's no consistency within the data itself from each water company. So Southern Water, for instance, are in a better position than some. Anglian Water again, and within the water companies in the UK, there's a real difference. Whereas Thames, we know, is probably a little bit leakier, and they've got quite a lot of small leaks in Thames as well in North London. So the hydrophones are picking those leaks up first.
Hey, thanks.
Paul, please mute yourself. We have a question, and I think, Tony, you can confirm. It's a question about Selangor. Is Selangor already using this?
So they are using Leak Insight at the moment, which is the analytics. We trained them, I think, around 4 weeks ago now. So they've had the first 4 weeks of the Leak Insight project. We are now talking to them about Leak Navigator as a DAS model, data as a service. So that's something we're looking at quite closely at the moment with them, and that's moving forward at the moment. So our fleet in Air Senegal is around 11,500 loggers fixed, and they are all Enigma 3Ms. So we're currently talking about hydrophones being their next step, but they are looking to obviously still get lots more loggers in the next 1 or 2 years. So Leak Navigator will increase their manpower, will increase their workforce, and it's very key that as you build your fixed network up, your OPEX cost or your manpower cost will go up. So what we're trying to say to the client is let's do Leak Navigator and take that cost away from you and do it for you. So your headcount doesn't have to go up because we're taking that work in effect.
Yep. Hey, it was a question from Hakimi because he heard a tool from competitor should be in place, but your experience is also quite recent.
Yes, yeah, we're working very closely with them. Yeah, I think their network's going to expand with some other loggers as well. I think HWM have got some loggers going in. So again, you know, they've got a task. They've got to get leakage down. So they're using every opportunity to use whatever kit they can get, really. So.
Yep. Hey, I have a question myself, and the question is related to training. You are focusing on the field engineers. What I see is impressive, but can you give a guesstimate of the amount of days that a field engineer needs training to absolutely feel comfortable with the amount of data presented? Yeah,
probably 2 days. It's very user friendly. The new correlator we've got is very user friendly as well, the Eureka 5. So we're trying to, the desktop session is probably 1 day, and then the field activity is probably another day. But once they start to understand the data, the applications that we've got around all the field activity now is very good for the user. So let's say they deploy the Enigma kits after the initial POI identification, that all uploads to the cloud onto the shapefile. So there's lots of activity there that the actual technician themselves is just pressing a couple of buttons to say, this is what I need to do. The rest of it is done in the cloud for them, and it shows them where the leak is. And we're just trying to cross match the field data with the fixed network data. So if they do follow-up data, the next stage for us is putting all that data onto the same shapefile so they can see it live.
Yep, Stuart, feel free to do your question.
Phil. Yeah, just one more question about whether you can use noise files from other manufacturers' loggers, or whether it just has to be the Ovarro gear.
Yeah, so we're getting asked more and more now whether Leak Navigator can bring in other loggers. The answer is yes. We are in probably stage 2 of that process. We have a stage 4 process to go through for anything new, and we're probably in stage 2 of that process at the moment, where we are working, and we are working with another company at the moment to talk about how their AI and their integration could work with the Ovarro technology as well. So you know, that's good news that we're looking at partnerships, because one tool is not the answer. There has to be several together sometimes. So there's activity there as well, and our ambition is to go straight to dig as well in cases. So we're looking at DMAs that could be straight to dig DMAs rather than needing a field technician. Can the technology get us to the leak without having to send a technician to that? Because if you look at the fixed network ratio at the moment, you're probably looking at around 7 to 10% in the UK being fixed network as a UK. So if you look at the world, there's not a lot of fixed network out there. So we're looking at the UK obviously expanding that, and which is all manufacturers will want that, because that's how we survive. But the key is how do you get straight to dig? So those other DMAs the technicians are looking after. So we're currently working on a straight to dig opportunity there.
Right. Yep. Got a good idea who you might be partnering with.
Okay, there you go.
Hey, remaining 5 minutes. So if there are any further questions to Tony, please take time now. Drop it in the chat. And if not, thank you very much again, Tony. I think great presentation. Webinar is uploaded to the cloud. Gary Wyeth will handle that carefully. So in the end, everyone that could not attend can still see your webinar presentation on the YouTube channel. That will be announced also in the weekly emailer. And there will be 2 other webinars during May, and I think also some in early June. So thank you very much. Great having you all in. I stop recording now, and I will close and end this Zoom session. Hey, all the best. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you.